Welcome to Smart Branding, a podcast dedicated to branding, naming, and domain names. I'm Tatiana Bonneau, and with my guests, we try to help you create and grow strong, memorable, and meaningful brands online. I believe time is one of our most precious assets, and so I want to thank you in advance if you decide to spend the next 30 minutes with us. I promise to do my best to make those worth it. Let's go. So today my guest is Vamsi Polimetla, an entrepreneur and leadership coach who founded the Make More Leaders program, where he helps entrepreneurs become better leaders and elevate their teams. Hello and welcome to our podcast, Vamsi. Wonderful to have you here.
Hey, Tatiana. Glad to be here.
So let's start with my classic first question. Give me a bit of a background.
Sure. Originally born in India, and if you're born in India, you have very limited options growing up as a child. So parents always expect you to be an engineer or a doctor. And if you're not one of them, they consider you like maybe a misfit. So I was misfit for most of my young life. And finally, I decided I don't want to disappoint my parents. So I became an engineer. And I spent almost like 20 plus years in the engineering field. I was into the IT and solving so many problems for various industries. I worked in Singapore for some time. I was in US for almost like 20 years now. So that is how like I started my journey. In this journey, Tatiana, I realized that there is more that we can do outside of the corporate world. I started like exploring like various options, and something came into my mind was the leadership. And I started working with people like Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, and a lot of like leadership experts in the world. And I realized that this is so good. How about I help other people to get the same knowledge? And that is how like I started my leadership coaching program almost 5 years ago. And that's the beginning.
Wonderful. So I have like a bunch of questions just came up in my mind as you were talking, and I don't know where to start. Let's start with, because our focus is on naming and branding. How did you choose the name Make More Leaders?
Absolutely. Leadership is something that is not inherited. Leadership is not something that you're born with. When you go to hospital, they're going to say, hey, you got a boy, you got a girl. They're not going to say you got a leader, right?
Maybe they cry like very loud. I don't know.
Yeah. So a lot of times people think that leadership is all about the size of your office, the title, the certifications, the papers that are behind you. Those are not like real leadership things. Leadership is something can be designed and cultivated at any point in our life. So leadership is not something that based on your title, based on your office size, based on the condition that you are in. It can be designed, it can be cultivated at any point in our life. Whether you could be just a programmer, you could be just like maybe a security guard, you could be just a manager, but you still can become a leader and lead people. It's nothing to do with your title, nothing to do with anything behind your name card. So that is where like my thought process began. And how about I help more leaders? My goal is to help millions of people. I can't do it alone. So if I help creating more leaders, and each leader will help 100 more or maybe 1,000 more great leaders, that is how like I'm going to be accomplishing my vision. And Make More Leaders was pretty obvious. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward name in terms of branding, in terms of like understanding, in terms of clarity, simplicity. That is the rationale behind the name.
A lot of coaches I've noticed use their own name as their brand name, and you didn't go for that. What was the reasoning behind that?
The reason behind like my mission is bigger than myself. I don't want to tie myself, my identity towards the mission that I'm in. And at the same time, I really wanted to leave a legacy. Like when I'm gone, this is something, the brand that is going to be led by somebody else. Yeah. When I tie that to my name, it's just going to be ending with my name. And yeah.
And you said when you're talking about leaders, well, I find that very interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs see generally the whole entrepreneurial journey as competition. And same, you can see that in a lot of organizations, there is a competition to, who's going to be the leader. And as you were talking about the name of the company, you just said that your mission is to basically make more leaders who in their terms will make more leaders. So in a way, there's no competition there. So how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like leadership is not just the title in the corporation, in the organization, or in the business. It is everywhere. Who you are being in the current moment. You being the great leader running this podcast. It doesn't have to be you need to have like maybe X number of credentials. You're showing your leadership by just listening to the other person. I'm taking leadership to share my message across the world. You are talking from almost a few thousand miles away, and we are having this conversation. This is exactly the leadership is. And you can be leader at your home, whether you're a son, you're a dad, maybe whether you're a daughter, your mom. You can still be a leader and showing that what exactly that like maybe you wanted to teach other people. A lot of people, Tatiana, they just talk about these things. But the point is, are you really walking the talk? The moment you say and what you do, the matches your audio and your video, that's exactly the leadership is. You say like, I need to get up at 5 a.m. You're talking to your kids, hey, you need to spend extra 1 hour on reading, and you're almost all the time you're watching Netflix, you're on your phone. That's not the leadership. So first walk the talk and show that, and that's how you create more leaders.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And it's funny because it's kind of, it makes me think as a parallel to like when we talk or when I talk to entrepreneurs about naming and branding and domains, and there is that thing very big about consistency, and it's getting more and more, even as the whole world gets more transparent. It's very hard to hide. Before you could pay for advertising and people would see something on a screen, but like the actual people and the company and how it functions could be hidden, and it just doesn't exist anymore. So what you're saying, that applies to, in a family, in a way where you can say one thing and do a different thing. It applies in a bigger scale as well for businesses across the world.
Absolutely. I think you brought up a really good point about the consistency. It's not about what we are talking. For example, you have a team of maybe 10 people, and you met a big client, and you are sharing who you are with the client. I'm this leader. I'm running like multi-million-dollar business. These are my values, and the prospect or maybe the client listening to you. And after you leave the room, the prospect or a client goes to one of your team member and asks the question, what do you think about this person? If your team member saying exactly what you said, this person is like a value of this person is really like is a walk the talk. That's exactly the leadership is. That's exactly like it can show who you are. It's not going to be happening overnight. It's not like a red pill that you can take it on Sunday afternoon. It's like consistency, what you're doing every single day over the time, maybe in 6 weeks, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 12 years. People will realize that you are that person.
And so how do you help with all that? How does the process look like?
Sure. So very first thing that I help all of my clients, Tatiana, is helping them to be the CEO of their own life. If you're working in the corporate, if you're working in the business, you do anything for your client. You do anything for your manager. But when it comes to your own personal growth, we always put our priorities, like our things, into the back seat. I'd say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it like when everything's are good. I'll do the things when my kids go to college. So we postpone the things. First, become the CEO of your own life. Define where do you want it to be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now. So have that like a very high level understanding, and get into that, the lower level understanding, what you really wanted to do this quarter, what do you really accomplish like in the next 4 weeks, what do you wanted to do complete by end of this week. So taking that bigger picture and also coming back to that lower level picture and see how can we accomplish this faster, so that way they're going to be getting the results. Most of the times, like I work with people, they have a 10-year goal. I really wanted to accomplish something in 10 years. And I challenge them, how about we complete this in next 12 months? And very first thing they say, it's impossible. It's I don't think like anyone can do it in 12 months. I said like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So what we need to become in order for us to achieve that 10-year goal in 12 months is all my teaching about. So it's about like, not about adding more strategies, not about like giving them 250 tools. It's about like changing their own identity. The moment they start looking in the mirror as a different person, and that person can definitely achieve that thing. So eliminating so many limiting beliefs, eliminating like all the things that are not serving them is a part of this process.
I think that's two very good points there. One, the thing that you said about like how many people would make a list of goals or even just one goal and that's like in 10 years. And then when you say what you just said, you can actually at least try to achieve it in 1 year, and they go, it's impossible. But like the same people would spend those 10 years not moving a step towards that. It's just always like there, but like that there moves as time goes on, which is, so it's crazy that people see that as, impossible to achieve in a shorter term, but they don't see the craziness of not doing anything about it in time passing.
Absolutely. This is also like one of the Bill Gates quote, right? A lot of people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. I changed that a little bit in my own version. A lot of people overestimate what they do in 1 month and underestimate what they do in 1 quarter. I think I really wanted to do this in the month of May or month of June. But when they look at like maybe in the quarter, they're thinking only a few things. So we start there and we just like enhance that. So that way they get more in 1 year than like they had in the past decade. So that is how we bypass so many things.
And I think the other important thing, which is something I don't hear often, like I hear people often talking about coaching and structuring or adding things to one's life or process or work. Not many people talk about eliminating things. And I think that's a really, really important point you raised, because that's, I would say it's the same importance as adding things and changing things, maybe even more, because like people don't realize like when you take away certain things, how much that can like accelerate where you're going.
Absolutely. And the perfection is not about like adding more things to any project. It's all about like eliminating the things and say there is nothing more to eliminate from this particular goal. Then we get more clarity. And a lot of people overload the stuff, even the communication. When they're sending an email, when they're writing something on the social media, they add so many things that are not necessary. And there is a line from one of the poet, Tatiana. I did not remember the name, but the poet says that I'm so sorry I had to write a long letter. I did not have time to write a small letter.
Hey, that was good. No, that's not the one I thought of. I thought of Exupery, who I think it was him who said perfection is not when there's nothing left to add, it's when there's nothing left to take away, but it's the spirit.
Right. Yeah. So it's always tough to write something small. It's always tough to simplify the stuff. Even with the branding, right?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, they add so many things to the brand, and it's tough to simplify.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you can see all the brands that have become really iconic, like they're all simple. Their name, their logo, their appearance, like everything is as simple as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you work with entrepreneurs globally, and you've yourself worked in like different continents even. How do you feel people, or are they different? Like, do they have different issues? Do they have different aims when it comes to like leadership, or what's your experience?
So the most important challenge, no matter where they are, it's about trusting themselves. We all have equal power, but most of the times we cover so many layers on top of like what we have inside. And because of those layers, we lose our confidence, we lose our trust. That's one of the challenge like I see across the globe. It's not about lack of resources, it's lack of trust. And the moment we identify what exactly like issues that limiting them to achieve what they wanted to achieve, and the moment I start like peeling those things off, automatically they get their full potential. It's almost like you have a BMW with an 8-cylinder engine, and the gasoline tank got like maybe something that's stuck inside of that. There is no gas going into that engine. Doesn't matter how big the engine is. The moment you take that the obstacle out, everything is going to be running smooth. So that's like whether you're from Asia, whether you're from Europe, whether you're from Africa, it's the same.
And what stage, like I'm trying to define the type of person that can reach out to you and get help. Like, what is usually if there are any like common signs that they could benefit from your services?
So people who got like a bigger vision, but they don't know how to execute that. They're still thinking about like, I have that vision, I don't know how. And those kind of people, doesn't matter whether they're like maybe making a couple of $100,000 or making maybe $1 million, $2. It's just the same thing. Eliminating that how and get that clarity into what are the next right thing for them. So helping them. And some of my clients are still working in the corporate. They wanted to start something while they're in the corporate. They wanted to have that pivot plan. And some of my clients, they never wanted to quit the corporate. They wanted to stay in the corporate, but they wanted to grow in the corporate. They wanted to achieve that, whatever that the definition of success for them in their own lane. So multiple paths. So it's all about like you have that bigger vision and you don't know how to achieve that. And you don't know exactly like maybe the clarity or the next steps and the right things. That is where like I come in and help them.
And we kind of touched on that next question just a while ago when you were talking about the lack of trust. That is something that's very common with people that come to you for help. Would you, like if you were to just say some common mistakes you see that entrepreneurs make when it comes to leadership, like from your experience when they come, obviously they have a problem when they come to you. So what would you say are the most common problems? Lack of trust being one of them.
So the most common things are they don't keep their promises. For example, they committed entire month of May. I really wanted to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but they get up like 1 or 2 days and up there like oh, you know what? Today is Friday. I can just like maybe sleep for extra hour. And by the time they realize it's 9 o'clock in the morning, the same way, if you just like have a manager and the manager is promising you, I'll give you a bonus next month. And the next month comes and the manager says that I'll give you a bonus next month. At one point, you lose trust on that manager. You don't want to listen to that manager anymore. And that manager is sitting inside of you. And the manager is listening, say, hey, you are not like getting up at 6 o'clock. You promised multiple times. I don't think like your goal is worthy enough. It could be just 6 o'clock. It could be like you said you wanted to meditate every day for 30 minutes and you never done in the past 30 days. That means like you're not worthy of that particular goal. So those silly and simple things. It's not about like doing huge things. Get those like small things consistent in a row. So that way you build your confidence. Once the moment you build that confidence, that is going to create ripple effect in all other areas. You know about this, the domino effect. If you just hit the small domino over the time, in maybe a few minutes, it's going to hit a domino that is like maybe 10 times bigger than any object, right? So the same way, once you start putting those reps, keep those promises, whatever that you say. You said like you wanted to go for an extra mile every single day for a walk. If you keep going that, I think like that is how you build the trust and everything will be up after that.
I like that. Like everything that you just said, it's about that relationship with yourself. It's not about like showing something to or proving something to someone. It's all about that. It's a relationship of trust with yourself. That's really cool.
Absolutely. In simple words, Tatiana, if you look at the tree, the strength of the tree is not based on the tree's leaves or maybe the shape. It's based on the roots. That no one sees those roots. So if you have the strong roots, you have chances of staying there in the game for a very long time. In this industry, I've been like here for almost like 10 plus years in the personal growth. I saw so many people, they made like millions of dollars, but they never had roots. The moment one hurricane comes, all those trees are gone. Whereas some people with a stronger fundamental, stronger foundation, they are going to be standing still no matter what happens outside. So the question is, are you playing a shorter game or are you playing the longer game? If your mission, your vision is building like a bigger building, you need to dig deeper foundation. And you need to do that internal work before you put the carpet, you put the roof, you put like maybe shiny things on the top. And a lot of people, they worry more about the shiny things. Those things can be done anytime. And you don't have to do that. You can outsource that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely. And that's, again, I can't help but draw parallels with what I'm doing. But with domains, for example, I often have that conversation with entrepreneurs when they reach out early in the development of the company. And it's funny, we do a lot of research and a lot of statistics on companies and in different industries and the type of domain names and names that they choose. And you can see that those who have like really big vision for their business and they really believe or want it to be there like in 10 years time, they don't have a problem of investing in their brand because they know, that that's what they want it to be like and look like 10 years ahead. And equally, those who are not sure, they're like trying out, even if they don't want to, like when you actually get into a conversation with them, they'll be like, I'm not sure we're going to be there in 2 or 3 years now. So I don't want to invest in that just yet. And it's whether they're saying it or not, that's the signal they're sending to, customers. And that's kind of the commitment they have themselves towards their brands.
Absolutely. It's a really good point. Last week, we had a meeting with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is one of the richest person in the world. And during that meeting, his basically shareholder meeting, he was saying that the best investment right now in 2023 is not in the stock market, not in the real estate, not in like any other crypto or any other asset, is just on you. And he insisted that multiple times. He never said that before. He always says that go for this industry, go for the stock market. They say like, we don't know anything about the banks right now. They may go bankrupt. We don't know about the economy, how that is going to go. But you should start investing aggressively on yourself. So this is a reminder. He's like 90 years, and Charlie Munger is 99 years old. He was sitting next to Warren Buffett in that meeting. And he was nodding his head all the time. So these two guys knows more about economy or maybe wealth than anyone else in the world, and they both are saying that the best investment that you can make is on yourself. And if you're not doing that, investing on your brand, investing on who you are making a big mistake.
Absolutely agree with that. And that's like you said, they're like business people and investors, etc., and they're having obviously opinions on personal development. And you had like over 20 years of career in IT before you got into that. Do you feel like things that you learned in the IT, like to make your parents happy in engineering, that apply to what you do now with helping people with leadership and how?
100%. Everything is compounding. It's not like overnight I became a leadership coach. Over the time, in the past 10, 12 years, I've been like acquiring this knowledge and applying it and testing throughout my career. My career definitely helped me to become who I became now. And because of that, I'm here now and I'm doing what I'm doing really, really passionately. Again, like the message here is that you don't have to quit your job and start your business. Be in your job and start testing your hypothesis and experiment it, fail forward, like fail multiple times. And so that way you get some data, and don't go to the graveyard saying that I wish I would have done. Failed so many times, nobody's going to care. At the end of your life, you feel that like I really failed so many times. I'm so happy.
Yeah. There was that saying about remorse is better than regret. I don't know if it always applies, but I think for me, at least from my personal experience, it's like I'd rather be saying that was a stupid thing I did, I shouldn't have done that, than, oh, I wish I've done that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And last question, what are you up to this year? What's new and exciting? What are you looking forward to?
So this year we launched a program called Personal Leadership Academy. And this is for the people who are living in US, especially people who migrated from India. And me and one of my business partners, we created this program for all the engineers who are really, really good at with their skills, but they just need that guidance towards their leadership. How can they just become the great leaders so that way they can enhance what they are doing? So this is something we are excited about, and we are doing. And we got multiple other programs. Tatiana, one is the Communication Accelerator with Brendan Kumar Sami. He was the one who referred me to this podcast. And we are helping people to communicate better. So the best gift that we can give it to anyone is the gift of communication. If they can communicate better, they can share their message. They can share the music inside of them to the world. So we are super excited about 2023 and the next years in this journey.
Wonderful. Well, we'll include links to everything that you mentioned in the write-up for the podcast, so anyone interested can reach out to you. That's been great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of Smart Branding Podcast. Feel free to visit smartbranding.com for more information and reach out if you have any suggestions, questions, ideas, or just want to learn more about how a good domain name strategy can help you build a strong and successful brand. See you next time.